Baja since we talked.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah.
I did do Baja.
This will be the dirt bike and truck segment of our podcast.
Such a humble brag. Oh yeah, by the way, I did Baja. Yeah, okay.
I mean, it was the Baja 500, not the Baja 1000, but it was the primer. But it was kind of intense because it's like 270 miles a day for 2 days in a row.
What class were you in? What
That's a lot.
Yeah, so you go down to Ensenada, like an hour south of San Diego, cross the border, go to Ensenada, and you post up there, and then you do this like 270-mile loop on day one, a south loop, and then you do a north loop, 270 miles, give or take, on day two. So you ended up at like 550 miles. But yeah, I mean, we were like 24th out of 130. At the end of the day, yeah, in a Porsche 911 powered buggy with like a 3.6 motor. Yeah,
dude. Any pictures of this bad boy?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I saw you on Facebook. Did you have a repair along the way? Or
we busted 3 wheels, got three back flats. We blew 2 fuel pumps. We broke a front torsion bar. Yeah, I mean, a lot, dude. Yeah, so it's a rear powered buggy. See if we can find a picture really fast, but it's I think of it as like
a Shelby engine in a golf cart, because that's what's going through my mind.
Just roll it on.
Like a 911 buggy. Love it.
I love that you broke everything.
Oh my God, totally, dude. Yeah. Here we go.
Oh, dude, that is so sick.
It looks like out of Mad Max. That is,
right?
That is pretty fucking cool.
Cool. It's I mean, you look at a couple, like there's one of the wheels.
Oh, yeah, man.
Like, so you have
like bad news on the wheel. That's a front wheel, that's a rear wheel, you know. I mean, but like some pretty sweet pictures of us ripping along.
So are you navigating or driving? Or you guys?
I'm navigating. Okay. Yeah, I'm navigating. I mean, it's just like there's the whole team. Yeah.
Wow, that's a whole crew.
I did not even think that it was going to be that green in sections.
Well, there's this area called the Pine Forest. You go up over the hills and you go through all these crazy things, and then you go down by the beach. You're ripping along. I mean, you're covering a lot of ground, dude. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Really cool.
Yeah, so I mean, it's nuts.
Are you getting different sort of climate temperate zones, and you can kind of see?
Oh yeah, we went through the rain. We got poured on for like a half an hour. Absolutely poured on, where it would just like rain, and there's no front window in this thing.
Yeah,
so like water's just dumping in. We went through my buddy went through this huge stream, and we kind of went the wrong speed and went too fast in, and then slowed down. So the water came all over this. We had like 6 inches of water come right across that front deck and just splash.
And you're watching it, right? You're just watching it kind of roll.
I'm like, oh, here it goes. And I was like,
you have goggles on, right? You're probably traveling goggles anyways.
Dude, you honestly, like that picture right there, you could be like, oh yeah, you know, like in the day. Like
isn't that crazy?
That's a great. Yeah, you could have 38 stories about that picture right there.
I know that is. I think that's pretty cool.
That's an iconic
I mean, I have a full
picture.
Carbon fiber helmet and all this kind of crap.
Oh,
yeah, my buddy, that's my driver. He's like, I'm dying. We blew 2 wheels. Like wheels are shredded on the back. It's pretty cool. Anyway,
that's awesome. So wait, what is? And I'm super curious. What truck is pulling that trailer? Like a 450 or something?
Oh, my buddy's got a nice. So we have 2 chase vehicles actually. We had like a nice pickup, and then we have. He's got a nice like GMC AT4, like a year old, like 3500, pulling that huge ass trailer, right? 4-wheel drive. It's got 35s on it. It's an extremely it's a way harder. Like it's coordination, and that's what my buddy loves. My buddy used to race, like cup cars, 911 cup cars, like not professional, but like did that inside. And he was like, it was kind of boring. I would go there. The cars rarely break unless you have an accident. Yeah. And you're just whipping around this track. You come into the pits, you sit, and then you wait, 3 hours for the next race. And he was like, this is like, you get a whole group. We have like 6 or 8 of us. We go down for the entire like weekend. And it's just like, you got people chase, and I'm like texting, and we got Starlink because we're running through the desert. And I mean, it's pretty cool.
Have you But
the chase, real quick, the chase trucks aren't following your track on
No,
your
they're
track,
meeting us.
are
So
they?
they're like, okay, you got to do 60 miles and you're crossing this
Okay.
like paved road. And they're
Okay,
there.
then
And
we'll
they're
meet
like,
you
is
there.
anything
Got
wrong?
it.
Like
Okay.
we blew our brakes once. Believe it or not, the shaking, had backed off the little teeny bleed nut on the back rear brakes. And so every time my buddy started pushing the brakes, he was just losing. He's like, Denker, I think I'm losing pressure. And then as we were like 10 miles out or something, he's like, I'm putting the brakes all the way to the floor and it's barely doing anything. I'm like, dude, okay. So now we're driving with like the gears like go downhill. It was just like,
wow.
But you need to it's like I synonymize it with like, when you're cruising along really fast and you're on like a highway and you like, whoa, and you kind of lose the tail a teeny bit in a car in the snow or something. You're like, whoa, and it kind of snaps back in. You're like, sweet. I mean, it's that for like 10 hours a day straight. Constantly.
Fun.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Have
I
you
think
done
that is numb to the danger of like being off a cliff in this little buggy, right?
Have you heard of the Baja Raptor run from Texas?
No. Okay.
So there's the Ford Raptor trucks, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So what they basically do is like people come down because like the problem with the Ford trucks is the fact that you never really get to open them up as they were designed.
They're like mall crawlers,
right? You're like, this is the best truck ever. Like, I'm going to Starbucks. So what they do is like you start. I think you can drive down from Texas, but basically they have this awesome route. And it's called the Baja Run, and you take, and they built out this great path, right? This great trail, for these, the Raptor trucks, like stock. Yeah, and there's all these dry stream beds, and so like you get people out to be able to use their trucks as they were designed. So you get these people who are like just like hauling for the first time, jumping the trucks, doing 105, 110 across the drive.
Yeah, where they've never barely ever.
Yeah, and they're like, and then people ran like this one guy, and they do these really cool videos, and they do like a little bit of like, hey, this person came from here. People have been like, yeah, dude, I drove from Raleigh, North Carolina to come down here. And then I drive back. Or like one guy was like, yeah, I was in the market to buy a new truck. And then I kind of knew what I wanted. And then I saw the video for the Raptor run. And I was like, oh, I've got to get a Raptor so that I can do this.
You got a Raptor?
So
sweet.
Yeah. Oh no, I didn't get it. I'm just saying the guy did. Like,
I thought you got one.
No, it's funny. I ended up getting a an F-150, but the power boost, like the mile hybrid.
Yeah, the higher output.
Yeah, that is, and the only reason why is like I can't tow with the
Raptor. The Raptor doesn't tow all that great.
Yeah,
it doesn't. That's true.
Yeah.
I've had that same discussion. I've almost bought a Raptor too, and I have a Ranger Tremor, which is fun. Like I put the spacers on, I put a 2-inch lift kit on it. I got the Baja design lights on the front, the light bar, and that's like the chase rig that I roll down with so like my kid and my wife are going down in May for the Baja 1000, and I've got that rig getting set up to be the chase rig. One of the chase.
That's awesome.
Do you still have the Cayenne, like the 2005 Cayenne or whatever you had?
I do. No, it's a 2014. I have a 2014 Cayenne, but it's a stick. It's a manual. For 2 years they made a manual.
What's that? A what? Where does that? What?
Yeah, it will never get stolen. It will never be stolen.
Right.
Dude, it can barely be valeted.
You can leave the doors wide open. Like
so we should switch from what do we call it? Bikes and trucks section into maybe.
Yes.
I'm going to market
a little cars and coffee. I know
this is good stuff. Cars and coffee.
I know. Anyway,
so Denker, I see you.
You got a bunch.
I see you sporting your fresh swag from last.
This is last year, the year before. Yeah, this is. I had to throw a little reInvent on the eve of reInvent, right?
Right. So, no love for Ignite, huh?
20. Well, they gave us a goofy gray backpack, so this is my awesome Ignite swag. Woo! There you go, baby.
Does it even say? Oh, that's so small.
Yeah.
Is it NVIDIA on the bottom?
Two little letters.
NVIDIA
bought it. Yeah.
They added it to the collection.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it's funny. Here's what I got for work. Nice Dell bag with fraying zippers already.
Wow. And not even a single name. There you go,
I
man.
actually talked to the onboarding team. I'm like, it doesn't take a lot to have an amazing onboarding experience, like swag.
Yeah, like simple things, a few simple things. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were trying to do the math. I went to reInvent in 2016, not as part of Tackle, but as part of my previous company with ZData. That was the first, I think 2016 was the first. So this should be my 9th year, I think. Because we had our first board meeting at the 2017 for Tackle. We had just raised our convertible note, and then I've been there every single year since, for sure, 100%, right? They didn't have it in 2020, but then they had the 2021 was the first one. I think everybody called like reinfect because everybody rolled out of there with COVID, right?
Reinfect.
So that was, we were all remembering that. I'm like,
oh my God, that's funny.
So
we're good.
Anyway.
So how was last week? Anything new, interesting?
Last week,
switch over to Microsoft.
Big talk. Two things. One, I did a little talk on, which is fun. We had 350 people show up. That was cool, though.
Nice.
On monetization and go-to-market strategies for AI marketplace. It's not materially different because it does follow the container and SaaS rules listing types, right? So, it's just a little bit different. Generally, you're just driving consumption models for that stuff rather than like pay up front, right? For AI stuff, I still think it's tricky for folks to figure out the price of it because they don't know what they're going to cost. Like there's a huge gap in like, hey, when somebody uses X amount of, my AI thing, like how much does it cost me in the back end? And people are all over the map, right? Most people are losing money on that deal, right? Because they're pricing it underneath what the tokens end up costing them in the back, right?
No one knows. It's too early yet. I mean, and that's the thing. I think ultimately there's not enough data on them on how to monetize that correctly just yet. I mean, give it maybe like 2 years or something like that. Then I think we'll have a sort of normalization of the market and kind of figure out what that looks like. And
the tools that work and the tools that don't. And,
yeah.
Like how much is these Copilot things or this agentic automatic co-sell stuff? How much is all this costing, right? Who knows?
I think the other big thing too is, sorry, go ahead. I think I stepped on you.
I was just going to say, to follow up, a big thing that I track here is like, all right, well, it depends on the model you're running behind it, right? You can use ChatGPT 4.1 mini. And it's going to be and it's going to be 1/37th the price of one of the more recent, the more powerful engines like Gemini 3 or something like that. So it is like, because it all comes back to compute. And the compute is a function of how much processing, how much context, how much memory you're putting into this. Like this deep research is going to grind and grind. I did a study when I first got here, and it ran for like 7 or 8 minutes. It was an amazing study. And so but I agree.
But you just don't know. So how, like as you're building that stuff in, like how much do you charge your customer for that? Like nobody knows, man.
But from a customer standpoint too, I think AI budgets aren't scrutinized. AI and security budgets aren't scrutinized like the rest of So on the same token too, there's like a little bit of a chicken and egg where you can kind of play with your model that you're employing to charge for, right? But you don't have to be that. I mean, you want to be accurate. You don't have to be that accurate because you're not necessarily fighting for budget, And your customers are like, well, I've got budget for days for security and AI. Done. Everything else, productivity, all that other stuff is way down range from those two, right? So I guarantee you that as the data models start to increase and you be able to identify truly what the monetization model should look like, I guarantee it's going to work in lockstep with the scrutiny of your AI and your security budget. Yes.
So do you think there will be a breed? I almost think like a decade ago, cloud is the same way. People could play around with cloud. Nobody was scrutinized too much, and then it became expensive. And then you got the cloud health, the cloud abilities, all of these companies that optimized. I mean, is that around the corner a year or two from now where like it's the cloud health of AI and it's running around optimizing? So you're using a crappy model for simple stuff and a more expensive model for other stuff instead of the same instance for every single thing. And yeah.
I see it being right-sized. I think I see it being right-sized. I think it's an interesting thought process because like I personally haven't thought about it that way. I think a lot about like the non-human identity piece of it. And you have all these agents flying around with very little governance and compliance.
Oh yeah.
I think that's the thing. I'm where
reading all your emails and reaching
dude.
into stuff. And it's bananas, dude.
Taking actions on your behalf. And that's the part where that makes me more nervous than the budget availability.
Yeah.
That is not even an existential risk, like a real risk. You know, what are the things for the keynote? Yeah, for the keynote last week, there was a Microsoft and then a vendor put together, you know, like a watch party, which was pretty cool. So I went there, a bunch of other executives that are focused on AI within their own, within their own company. And there was a lot. First of all, that's the first time at these mega conferences where I saw one product just dominate the vast majority. Like, I don't think until Guthrie got on stage and started talking about some security updates and the data infrastructure that anything moved off of Copilot. Everything was Copilot. But one of the features which sounded really cool is like, wow, you can go into your Copilot and be like, schedule a meeting with Brian and Amin and research all my notes for the last 6 months, and it's just mining all of your data that in this example sits behind the firewall, of course, in OneNote, in SharePoint, on OneDrive, et cetera, et cetera. But it's like someone gets in and hacks the CEO, CFO, and just
somebody gets into that
tell me about all of our competitive strategies or something like this. And so that, I think, is something I took back here, and with our architect, we're like,
what's
we
a firewall?
figure this one out.
What's a firewall? Joking.
Exactly.
It's just like like, you know what I mean? Like the proximity of attacks, the proximity of what you're securing. Like, there's no such thing as this is your outer boundary, and everything inside this boundary is going to be safe. It is proximity. It is security down to at the device / at the agent level. Like, trust, zero trust. I mean, but it's like trust nothing, trust no one.
Right.
100%.
Yep. So that's a burden to the system, but it has to be. I think enterprise is going to go that way. But going back to the comment about Copilot or AI, I mean, and the other thing that's obvious is all the hyperscalers are really throwing money behind AI initiatives, right? So if you had, like Tackle, for instance, like if you were to develop, or maybe they already have some AI generated feature that has got a separate SKU, would you get preferential funding, do you think, Brian, or do you guys think SaaS companies selling through marketplaces are at an advantage if they've got some AI pixie dust sprinkled in their portfolio from an incentives perspective, or does it just fall back to the basic?
You mean from the cloud provider?
From the cloud providers.
Oh yeah. Well, we talked a lot about SCA. So the regular SCAs are very turnkey. They're not hard to get per se, as long as you have a PPA or a commit or something within AWS. But the AI SCAs are completely different, with completely different funding and completely different requirements, right? So the requirements of getting an AI SCA are, I don't want to say easier, but they're more open. They're more flexible. Like, you just have to show that you're going to build an agent. You want to show what you're going to do. You're going to show you're going to spend X amount of dollars on AI technology, and if you're going to do so, then you can get this AI SCA, and they're going to do marketing with you, and they're going to help put you on stage and in these different spots and all that stuff. So it's totally separate. You can go get a regular SCA, and then you can start a completely brand new process and go get an AI SCA.
Do you see totally the challenge separate there?
It's 100% separate system. It's a separate agreement that you sign and everything.
So we're in process of doing our SCA as well. We're at the 5-yard line, which I'm pretty excited about. But I guess
we were there for a while. Like,
I was just saying, this is the longest trip in the red zone ever.
Dude,
I think you were on the 20-yard line 6 months ago.
I was on the 20-yard line 6 months ago. It's interesting because it's an interesting thing operationally speaking, because you go down this path, at least for us, and I didn't realize. I mean, I realized, but I didn't realize how tightly integrated our PDM is to the process. So
Oh,
we
yeah.
started and we were hammering through, and we made a lot of great progress. And then our PDM, she's fantastic, but our PDM got offered a position somewhere else, so she took off. And then during this time, AWS also had all of these riffs that went along.
This is late summer and all this stuff. Yeah.
So we ended up
Sounds familiar.
So we ended up losing a whole bunch of steam where it just sat because
they're the only ones that can chase it through the 20 signatures.
Right. Absolutely. And
or
so,
submit it into you got to submit it into the tool and you got to get it approved. I mean, literally once it was absolutely approved, we had it fully approved and it still took us 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's the thing.
Completely approved, totally done. And it was just signature processes.
Yes.
And that
then
took us 8 weeks.
God help you if you look at the numbers and you're like, well, I have questions about, or I'd like to renegotiate this, or I'd like to move this pool of money here instead of there. If you have any other changes, and then
if you change any of that stuff, it's like you go back to square zero.
And then and then to your point, when you're also simultaneously negotiating your PPA with your SCA, and you don't have your PD, and when you have like your accounting without a PDM, there's a problem because what you don't have the checks and balances, because on your team you've got your person who is not your PDM, but I forgot you're basically your AWS AE who's trying to sell you stuff, and then you have your AWS PDM who's trying to help you subsidize and utilize what you purchased in a sense.
If you sign up for $3 million a year, then you will give you this. If you sign up for $4 million a year, we'll give you this. And it's like somewhat competing because the alliance manager wants more money, so they want to hire a PPA, and your IT team is like getting hammered by the budget, wants less commit, right? Yeah.
And then we were trying to separate those two for a while. And then because we lost the PDM in that sense, then they just sort of came together, which then became, oh, well, since we're negotiating your PPA, let's tie them together, which then it doesn't make there's no really material change to the SCA, but generally speaking, it takes the process and it makes it a little arduous for the same amount of money.
We ran into that. We ran into that a little bit, right? Our PPA was pretty well defined, but it was really the growth number that we were defining. Like, and we had to define the growth number, and the SCA dollars dropped out of the growth number.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was like the growth of your consumption and the growth of your expansion, like within launch deals and stuff. It was like kind of a 2 or 3 variable equation of like your consumption plus your launched ACE co-sell growth plus your marketplace, kind of like your total revenue type thing. And then the number dropped out of that.
Was that construct specifically designed for you or all of no,
there's like 2 major formulas. There's a formula on your growth, and then there's a formula on just straight up consumption.
Okay.
So if you're like
growth meaning transactions,
if you're a data company that is only going to sell a couple of really huge deals, like you can get an SCA because you're going to have like we're going to drive this much consumption, or you can say we're going to drive this much like growth in co-sell.
Yeah.
Okay. So transactions, the front end, consumption, there's going to be a longer tail there, but those are the 2.
And they use ACE growth as your, and it's not the ACE absolute number, it's the ACE growth. So if it doesn't matter where you were at last year or where you're going to this year, it's like it could be 1 million to 2 million. That's $1 million of growth. It could be 10 million to 20 million. That's $10 million of growth. They care about the growth. If you're going to go from 10 to 11 to 12 over 3 years, that's not really good.
Yeah.
Even though the numbers are big.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because then we had to do this. Well, not really. Well, I mean, we do this translation of everything from, TCV versus AAR, and they're looking at everything in AAR to a certain degree, right? And then you have this other element of the commitment to the PPA, where we blew our PPA out of the water, So so then there's the element of like wanting to pull that in. And really, we felt like cats and dogs trying to keep that separate, because the closer they can kind of pull that in, you lose leverage with AWS if you're negotiating both simultaneously. So trying to negotiate them separately is where you ultimately really, really want to be, because that's where you maintain leverage. from a ISV standpoint. And so that became a little bit not contentious, but just one of the things of like, if I had to do it all over again, I probably would have been tighter with my IT staff earlier in the process than
what do you mean by you would have been tighter, like with what they're spending and using?
Not so much what they're spending and using. I don't care about that. I want us to blow it out of the water, but I want that forecast, and I would want them.
Oh, you want the forecast to be more accurate.
Accurate.
Yeah. And from a negotiation standpoint, I would like to be. I should have been more on this. We should have been more on the same page.
So there's two levers there, right? There's your just overall growth forecast, and then your actual against the forecast. But then there's the percentage of those deals that actually went through ACE.
Yeah.
Was it both of those dials were spun up?
Both those dials are going. Well, one, you're
the
contractually obligated. So like AWS is like has a vested interest in seeing you commit to more. Yeah. So let's say double or triple whatever it is than what you committed to in your previous, EDP, right? And then your SCA number is a percentage of what that growth number looks like in your PPA. Right. So they're kind of subsidizing that. So like there's no contractual obligation for if you don't spend the cash and credits or the credits for on the PPA, on the SCA.
That's use it or lose it for you.
Right. Yeah. But inside of your organization, they're not opposing forces, but they're motivated by two completely different things. Yeah, whereas like the alliances team is completely motivated by the go-to-market and revenue generation, top-line revenue generation, new logo acquisition, all that. Whereas on the other side of it, the group that is negotiating the PPA is fully vested in how do we grow, not the business per se, but how do we grow the business through consumption of infrastructure, if you will, just to make it really simple,
Right. Yeah. I mean, you can't. Yeah, I don't even think you can get an SCA without a PPA to start with. So you need to have a PPA to even get an SCA. So that is like your bar. I mean, I guess that's kind of like a duh comment, but like, so then you really have to start to think through your PPA, because it has a lot to do with how it falls out into your SCA, right?
Yeah. Is it PPA the new EDP or what's?
Yeah. Same thing. Private pricing.
Okay. Yeah. It's rebranded, if you will.
Enterprise or private pricing. They just rebranded it. Same thing. Sorry.
Yeah. Interesting. So Denker, I want to go back to a quick question on that AI SCA. So as you go down through the stack, infrastructure is infrastructure, compute, storage, networking. So if you're making a commitment on just the AI piece, and that includes the full stack, so first party services.
Yeah,
what if you're heavy on that one and light on the other?
All of that stuff, right? Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit like a modified. You almost need to have like a certain amount of AI spend built in.
Okay.
And then if you're going to commit to spending X amount of AI usage through whatever vehicle it is, right?
Yep.
Then they will help, but you have to commit to releasing some products and AI marketplace and some of that stuff too. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Okay. So it's
we're talking about, we don't have a standalone agentic solution, so it's a little trickier, right? Like if in theory, if you have a standalone AI solution, it's easier, or even another SKU. Like we sold an AI agentic SKU, then we could maybe think about doing it, because we would like to do that next year, right? Like, if any event, just to learn and figure that out for ourselves.
Would you generate enough? Would you generate enough revenue on that AI agentic product to necessitate a SCA?
Well, and more like, would we generate enough cost?
Yeah.
Not revenue. Revenue is a bitch, right?
Yeah.
Generating the revenue is really hard. Generating the cost is not as hard.
Let's go there, because what are your thoughts about the ability to charge for AI? Is it a freemium model?
Low with current companies?
Yeah, because it seems like now everybody
if you're AI only,
for free.
That's your whole product. It's great, but I think people are giving away the wrong things for free these days. ourselves included to some extent. You have a base system and you've built your system, your pricing model based on these things over the last 3, 5, 7 years, and you're charging on that lever of that metric. And then you throw all this AI stuff in, you throw it all in for free, right? And you still keep charging on that legacy metric. And what you need to do is start to give away that legacy metric for free or reduce cost or something, like, hey, have as many seats as you want. I'm not going to charge you by seat. I don't care. Have as many seats as you want. I'm just going to charge you on how many opportunities you enter into this system, right? As many seats as you want, because that's now the agentic spin. Like, I'm going to help you enter. I'm just like using the total generic example, like CRM type thing or automated co-sell. I'm going to charge you on how many co-sells you agentically enter in to ACE. I'm not going to charge you on the actual, Salesforce connector. You can have that for free. You can have that for free, right? If you want to manually do it. What I want to charge you for is how many things are agentically like managed, right? Stuff like that. Like, that's the pivot that I think. Otherwise, we're all giving it away for free. Everybody's giving it away for free.
Which is the trend. Which is the trend right now, or to come with some bolt-on that has unique and differentiating value, then you can charge for that.
Build it as a separate SKU and have enough differentiation to sell that as a completely separate SKU.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So that's where it gets to like the data. To me, that's where the use cases get really exciting, because in my recent experience here at Wheels, you can spend some time building deterministic models using a data science or just going in and using an ML model. Or you can take a discrete data set and pose a very simple question to an agent who understands data analysis and pattern recognition and anomalistic behaviors, et cetera, and say, what are the insights you can find? And just like that. So it's almost like the power of this undeterministic generative technology, to me, I just keep seeing value, So if you were to come with how do I compare to to my peers, or what's happening in this segment, and you have this AI agent that's attached to some massive data set, which is differentiating, which I would argue Tackle definitely has, but then I think there'd be some super interesting insights, and that you could pay for.
Yeah. Right.
Data as a service. But yeah, just like help me, automate this,
there's a lot of unknown. Yeah, that is a massive opportunity, how to manage the costs. Not the costs, I say that right. How to manage the billing mechanism. So
yeah.
And I gotta jump here a little bit soon. Yep. I do have a call. So that I gotta.
A lot of good stuff. This might be a good. Well,
I think we can keep talking about this for another hour easy. We'll mix
Amin
a little bit
perplexed.
of laughter and
yeah.
Right. No, I just
looks perplexed.
No, it's one of those things where it's like it's kind of figuring out like where you sit. Do you sit in like, I think you have to pick the angle when you start having this conversation. Are you picking the angle of if you're the customer, how do I extract the maximum amount of value out of my agents, right? If you're thinking about it from the ISV point of view, is like, how do I deliver the maximum amount of value in leveraging AI, but also be able to monetize it intelligently? So they're not necessarily opposed to each other, but I think that no one is going to get it right. Like it's too early to get it absolutely.
That's what I'm saying. There's going to be a lot of fumbles, like in the early days of cloud, where somebody's like, "Oh my God, I just spent $1 million with AWS. I didn't even know it. Oops." Right?
Yeah.
Whoops. Right.
But I think a good way to think about it from a value perspective is automation or augmentation. And automation is like, you should do that anyways. If you should have automated it. If you want to automate it now, you probably should have automated it 10 years ago or some period of time earlier.
Yeah.
The data example I gave was augmentation. Like, how can we make a business analyst or some, frontline worker
better,
so much more powerful and so much more insightful, with this capability? So those are the use cases that we're focusing on, and I think that applies in a commercial perspective and cloud go to market too. It's like, what services can you do that augment what somebody's already able to do?
Yeah.
And automation to me just is like, it's a mess, you know.
I think the two things there, not to take us down a conversation that's going to last another like 2 hours, but the two things there I think is one, I think a lot of what I think automation, your automation budget has gotten rolled into your AI budget. I think there's a lot of automation that folks should have been doing, to your point, over the last 4 or 5 years they haven't been doing, and now they have sort of this AI budget to kind of tap to automate things that have really are really not AI. That's the first thing, right? And then they'll count them as like an AI win, right? And then the other part of it too is in organizations, I think there's two things. One, I think budgets are super tight. So if you look at, like, Microsoft, or you look at, Microsoft's a good example of this, and you say, all right, well, I'm an organization and I'm not exactly sure I need to experiment with AI across the organization. That also impacts the licensing level that you have and the access to it. So if my budget, if my mine is soft, right, and I need to pull back budget, I think there are a lot of organizations that don't necessarily want to admit it, but they're pulling back budget from the use case of the AI tools without having a strategic arm in the organization that is responsible for looking at which processes with which teams across which set of departments can I deploy and utilize, agents, or utilize or optimize AI for the betterment of the business. So I think there's a number of forces that while intellectually we're all like, yeah, this is what we should be doing, I think there are a lot of real tangible forces that are working in opposition to each other.
I agree. Look, we're talking about change management there. It's really who's overseeing, who's governing this new thing, and doing that. So that is a big question to leave us on for this session, but a good place to pick up next time. Being cognizant of Denker's upcoming call, but you guys, this was as fun as it always has been.
Who's going to be at reInvent? Amin?
No, I'm not going to make it this year.
I
will be at Next though, but I won't be at reInvent this year.
All right, I'll be at Next as well. Okay, all right, got it.
Excellent.
And John, you're obviously not going to reInvent, yeah.
Not going to reInvent.
Well, have a happy Thanksgiving in that respect, because, like, I often think to myself, how many times am I gonna have to fight Vegas on the Sunday after Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
9 years and counting, and probably many more, right?
Yep. Well, enjoy it. Enjoy it. All right, guys.
Awesome. All right. Sounds good, guys.
Great talking to you. Until next time.
There, guys.
See ya.